fifth graders, it's Mrs. Trombley, and today we're going to learn how to add or subtract mixed numbers with unlike denominators. So what's kind of cool is we get to use everything that we've learned so far. To add and subtract mixed numbers with unlike denominators, you write the fraction part as equivalent fractions like we just did. Then you can go ahead and add or subtract as we did before also. So if you haven't done so yet, you might want to print this sheet out. If you're not able to print, then you can just write these examples right in the next page of your math spiral. Just make sure you write up at the top, add or subtract mixed numbers with unlike denominators. Okay, so for letter A, I notice, hey, this is 1/5, this is 1/3. Those don't match. So our first step is to get them to match, right? We need to have the same denominator. The pieces need to be the same size. So I would first ask myself, can I multiply 3 by something to get 5? Nope. And then the LCM of 5 and 3 is 15. That's the first multiple they have in common if you count by them. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply the 1/5 by 3/3 and the 1/3 by 5/5 and write down my new problem here. So what I have now is 4 and 1 times 3 is 3 and 5 times 3 is 15. Plus, and notice I just left my whole number alone, right? There's not a denominator that needs to be common with the whole number to leave it alone. 1 times 5 is 5, and 3 times 5 is 15. Now we have two fractions that we can add with the same denominator. So we'll do what we did before. I'm going to add the whole numbers together. So 4 plus 2, that gives me 6. And I know my denominator is going to be 15, and 3 plus 5 is 8. So 6 and 8/15, and I would look at that and ask myself, is there a number other than 1 that divides into 8 and 15 without leaving a remainder? And the answer is no. So that means 6 and 8/15 is in simplest form. All right, let's try this next one. Maybe you want to pause me and try it on your own. Just make sure you press play afterwards and check your work. Okay, so this is 3, this is 4. I can't multiply 3 by something to get 4. The first multiple, the LCM of 3 and 4 is 12. So that means I'm going to multiply the 2/3 by 4/4 and the 3/4 by 3/3, just like we've been doing, right? So my 6 stays the same. 2 times 4 is 8. 3 times 4 is 12. My 4 stays the same. 3 times 3 is 9, and 4 times 3 is 12. And now that they have the same denominator, I can go ahead and add. So when I add my whole numbers, 6 plus 4 is 10. And I know my denominator is 12. 8 plus 3 is 11. And 10 and 11/12 is in simplest form because there's not a number other than 1 that would divide into 11 and 12. Okay, keep it going. And again, if you want to pause and make sure that you can try these on your own, that would be fine by me. Just make sure you press play. Okay, for letter C, I see that they're not the same denominator. And I can multiply 3 by something to get 15. So I definitely want to do that because then I get to do half the work, right? So 3 times 5 is 15. That means I just need to multiply this 1/3 by 5/5. So I have 4 and 5/15 plus 2 and 7/15. And when we put those together, 4 plus 2 is 6. My denominator stays the same, and 5 plus 7 is 12. Now, 6 and 12/15 would be fine, and that's a fine answer to give right now. However, 3 does divide into both 12 and 15. So even though 6 and 12/15 is fine, you could give me simplest form and divide both of those by 3 and give me 6 and 12 divided by 3 is 4, and 15 divided by 3 is 5, 6 and 4/5. So 6 and 4/5 is the best way to say that. 6 and 12/15 will be fine for this part of our school year. Okay, last addition problem, and notice there is a little star there. I put that little star there because I promised you I would. 8, I can't multiply 8 by something to get 12, right? However, the LCM of 8 and 12 is not 96. So we don't have to multiply this by 8/8 and this by 12/12. I told you in class you can, but 8 and 12, the first multiple that they would have in common is actually 24. So we could be working with some much lower numbers and get our answer closer to simplest form in the end if we choose 24 instead. So I would multiply the 5 and 8 by 3 over 3 to get 24 as the denominator. And I would have to multiply 5 twelfths by 2 over 2 to get 24 as the denominator. So now I would have 10 and 15 24ths plus 2 and 10 24ths. Okay, now they're both out of 24. I can go ahead and add. 10 plus 2 is 12. 15 plus 10 is 25, and my 24 stays the same. Now I'm hoping that you notice, hey, you can't do that. That's improper. Yeah, I can't leave this 25 24ths the way it is. So I'm going to change 25 24ths into a mixed number, and 24 goes into 25 one time. There's 1 left over, right? 24 plus 1 is 25 out of 24. So I'm replacing this with 1 and 1/24th. And when you put those together, 12 plus 1 is 13 and 1/24th. So that's addition. We're going to do the same thing with subtraction. So notice these 4 examples, none of them have a common denominator. Yep, we need to get it. So 2 and 3/8 minus 1 and 1/4. I do notice that 4 times 2 is 8. Yes, you could multiply 3/8 by 4 over 4 and 1/4 by 8 over 8, but it's so much nicer to use the LCM. You get so much closer to simplest form, and it's less work in the end. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply 1/4 by 2 over 2, because that will give me a common denominator of 8. So I'm going to have 2 and 3/8 minus 1 times 2 is 2, and 4 times 2 is 8. And I'm going to go ahead and write all my subtraction problems vertically like this. You could have been writing all of those vertically. It doesn't really make a difference to me. All right, so in here, I can do 3 minus 2. That's nice. 3 minus 2 is 1, and then my denominator stays the same, and 2 minus 1 is 1. So 1 and 1/8 is what you should have. All right, and what's kind of nice, you can check your work, is 1 and 1/8 plus 1 and 2/8, 2 and 3/8. 1 plus 1 is 2, 1/8 plus 2/8, 3/8. Yep, so we know that we're right. Okay, for letter F, maybe you want to try this one on your own. I have 4 and 1/3 minus 2 and 7/15. 3 times 5 is 15. So I'm going to use 15 as my LCM. That means I'm going to multiply 1/3 by 5 over 5. So I now have 4 and 5/15 minus 2 and 7/15. And I notice with this one, I can't take 7 away from 5, right? I can't just say, oh, 7 minus 5 is 2, because you cannot subtract backwards. There's not a commutative property of subtraction. That means I need to borrow. So I'm going to borrow from my 4. I just borrowed 1 whole, right? And if we're dealing with 15ths, 1 whole would mean 15 15ths. So that's what I'm going to add to the 5/15. So my new problem would be 3 and 5 plus 15 is 20/15 minus 2 and 7/15. And now we can solve it because I can take 7 away from 20. 20 minus 7 is 13. My denominator stays, and 3 minus 2 is 1. So 1 and 13/15. Okay, cruising along. Letter G, 7 and 5/6 minus 3 and 4/5. I can't multiply 5 by something to get 6. And the LCM of 6 and 5 is 30. It is the product of those two denominators. So that means I can go ahead and multiply 5/6 by 5/5, and I can multiply 4/5 by 6/6. So my new problem would be 7 and 5 times 5 is 25/30 minus 3 and 24/30. We just made it. I can do 25 minus 24. It's 1. My denominator stays, and 7 minus 3 is 4. So 4 and 1/30. All right, last one. Yes, it has a star. It has a star because I can't multiply 6 by something to get 9, but the LCM of 6 and 9 is not their product. It's not 54. The first multiple that 6 and 9 would have in common is 18. So 18 is the LCM of 6 and 9. That means that I can just multiply 1/6 by 3 over 3, because 6 times 3 is 18. And I can multiply 7/9 by 2 over 2, because 9 times 2 is 18. So our new problem would be 9 and 1 times 3 is 3, 6 times 3 is 18, minus 5 and 7 times 2 is 14, and 9 times 2 is 18. Now we have a common denominator, right? However, we have a problem. I can't take 14 away from 3. So I have to borrow. I'm going to borrow from 9. I borrowed 1 whole, right? 1 whole in this case is 18/18. So my new amount here would be 8 and 18 plus 3. Yes, everyone's favorite number, 21. Minus 5 and 14/18. Now we can subtract. 21 minus 14 is 7. I knew that because I know my 7. 7, 14, 21. Yep. And then 18 is my denominator still. And 8 minus 5 is 3. And I can't do anything to that 7/18. It's already in simplest form. And that's how you do it, 5th graders. I'll see you soon.